live once again on iStream TV. Welcome back. We are live from Brighton Music Conference on Brighton Beach in the beautiful elevated audio experience studio that is the Audiomango van. And I am joined by my co-host who has arrived, and a very special guest in the shape of Colin. So first of all, hello Lisa.
Hello darling, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. Lisa Loud is in the building. She is going to be with us for the rest of the afternoon, talking to the people that we have got lined up and that we are grabbing into the van.
Love that, love that.
How are you doing, Lisa?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm really good. Happy to be back. It was so fantastic last year, so really happy to be back. The weather's holding out, lots of great people. It seems really busy too, so
it is.
lots
yeah,
of
the sun's trying to break free for us, isn't it?
It sure is, but it's dry, so we're
That's
all
the
good.
main thing.
Let's just like do the rain dance and keep the rain away, and then we're all good. I think.
Yeah, we're always doing the sunshine dance. Will you bring the sunshine with you, Lisa?
Oh, you're so kind.
Flattery will get me everywhere, won't it?
It will in my books, babe. Yeah, it will in my books.
So Lisa is on board with us for the afternoon, and we have our guest in the studio, Colin. Welcome, Colin Down.
Hello, Sacha.
Lovely to meet you.
And you too.
I've heard lots about you. You were an inspiration to my husband, funnily enough, into getting into DJing.
Wow.
Because he used to see you at Stearns.
Oh, yeah.
He was a 14-year-old getting in at that point, and Waxworks is his name. You played with him at the Arch when the Stearns reunion a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I remember those.
And he was. He said you liked his set, and that gave the 14-year-old Michael a little bit of a semi, is what he said.
Oh, really? I hope it was my music that done
in a nice way, in a nice funny way. It meant a real lot to him that Colin Dale that he was watching when he was 14 years old, that inspired him to get into DJing, liked his set.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Excellent.
Even I'd be really flattered with that. I mean, this guy is a total legend. I mean, the king of the warehouse scene. When it all began, Colin Dale was on every bill. So the precursor to festivals, which I consider to be the big raves, really.
The rave scene, yeah.
He would a man.
Tell us all about
one of the
it,
men.
Colin.
Of course, back then there were loads and loads of big raves happening. You were there as well, Lisa.
So everybody keep the mics close to their faces. I know you don't mind this, but keep the mics close to your faces so that everybody can hear us nice and loud and clear.
1 2 1 2.
That's the one. So carry on. Tell us all about the warehouses.
The warehouse is a pre kind of rave and festival and all that. Especially in London. I'm going back to like Rare Groove times, like Norman J, Mark Moore, late 80s.
Yeah.
Just before the whole house thing came in, they were doing that warehouse thing. And that's where I started to get into the whole warehouse thing. But when I started playing electronic music, it was all about the festivals and stuff like that. There wasn't much breaking into warehouses going on.
Right.
Once I got into the whole electronic thing.
Yeah. So you moved into the clubs more, basically.
Into the clubs, into the festivals, and I tell a lie. We did break into a couple of warehouses. It's like coming back to me now. So but primarily it was really festivals and. Huge, massive raves that used to happen back then.
When I say the warehouse thing, I kind of relate that to my interpretation of the complete underground. It didn't really necessarily mean that it was an enclosed building or anything like that.
It was
it was something that was discovered and followed, and there was like this natural ability and hunger from the people to find their way into these parties, and that's where I fondly remember Colin, and have enormously fond memories myself of being in those kind of environments where, you know, there really were very little rules, you know, things were put together, you know, sound systems were being brought in whilst, you know, people were turning up in cars on the M25.
Whoa.
And and that whole thing of, you know, a post-it note in a telephone box actually really did happen. That's how people found out about, you know, where we were all going, what was all next and stuff like that. And
The underground was real.
And you know, an amazing thing to be a part of, something that, you know, I don't think will ever get relived. I think you know,
it's a time in history, isn't it?
You know, there was the 60s and then there was acid house, you know.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And that's, I sort of, you know, I do genuinely think that we broke the mould. It was an entirely new music policy. It was an entirely different perception, you know, and people
it's a movement.
Became part of this movement like it was part of their lifestyle, you know. I mean, everyone was getting up and going to work every day, but we were also going out every night, you know, and it was mad. I mean, just mad. And there was this hunger and thirst for the music, and it brought a real sense of community, And
you know, obviously you've been friends for a long time, and I think that's one of the things that obviously I loved when I first got into it, that sense of community, that you're all a part of something that's really special.
Absolutely, and I mean, it really is like that. You only have to look at you know, when someone in what I call the family has problems, the whole sort of house community will rally round and actually help them. So it's very much like that. It's a community. As Lisa was saying earlier on, it was groundbreaking what happened, you know, in the late 80s and that. And it was like a perfect storm with this great new music. We also had this great new drug, which enhanced a lot of things, let's say. So it was groundbreaking on a lot of different things, new venues, and a really radical time.
And it broke down those barriers as well, isn't it? Because
absolutely.
It was, you know, the music, you know, sometimes our scene can get a bad name or a stigma from the influences that drugs have had on the scene, but that the acid house and ecstasy is an important part of what happened. It's not something that we can all
really dismiss. It might not have happened without the ecstasy. It would have been totally different, you know, I think.
I agree, and I also think that it's really important to realise how things change so much. You know, back then, you know, when people were buying ecstasy, they were taking ecstasy, they were taking medical grade MDMA. Not that I'm advocating it. I'm sure there'll be people that will be very disappointed to hear me talking like I'm in favour of it. You know, it's going to happen. It's happening anyway. It's going to keep happening. But this movement and that enhancement came from a very new form of something that, you know, these days can be incredibly shady, very frightening. You don't know what you're taking, you don't know what is what is in the drugs that you're taking, and that's why sadly we are seeing, you know, the darker side of drugs. And there's always going to be a dark side of drugs.
Abusing anything, whether it be alcohol, ecstasy, you know, abuse. What I always say, you know, what somebody says is legal and what somebody says isn't our choice.
No, absolutely.
But what we all know is abuse of anything.
Yep.
Is where problems lie, you know, whether it be alcohol, whether it be ecstasy. Obviously nobody should be doing really horrific hard drugs that are going to screw them up.
Absolutely.
But they're also, for me, it's about the education, and it's about understanding what people, because we come from an era we remember the Just Say No campaign. You know, Grange Hill and Zamo, and he was the first person that was a heroin addict, and the whole campaign was Just Say No. Well, we understand that Just Say No doesn't that just doesn't work. It's for me on that education, and I would never be somebody to turn around and go, all drugs are bad, all alcohol's bad, don't drink, don't do drugs, don't do any of that. It's like, really? No. So everybody walking around like, saints and pure as the driven snow, and never wanting to have a bit of a release and a bit of a drink and a bit of a let out. And I think, taking it back to what you were saying about that whole, what it did for the music and the community and the scene, was it broke down those barriers when, it doesn't have to be about abuse. There was a small amount that was making people open. Breaking down.
I mean,
barriers.
it took footballers off the terraces and into Spectrum. End of story.
Exactly. Stop the
That's true.
We saw Millwall and Chelsea dancing on the dance floor at every club that I had something to do with in the late 80s.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it was. We peace. I mean, like the 60s. The 60s was riddled with drug taking. People were into hallucinogenics, and that enhanced that music and the field experience. And that was going on, and smoking and whatever. But hand in hand, I suppose that the drug that comes with electronic music was the ecstasy. And nothing's ever safe, but I think it was certainly safer back then. I'm not advocating it, but
totally.
I've got to be a voice of reason at the end of the day. I'm sitting here with my faculties completely intact, and I've been doing this job for 36 years.
And that's no mean feat, Lisa.
Well, and there's it's the business that's very, very tough that you have to deal with, and that can be really hard. I also think it's really worth sort of saying, and that anybody should always try and look at the reason why you are engaging in any kind of substance interaction, because some people are engaging in it because they're covering up certain things, masking pain and stuff like that, whereas I genuinely think that everyone that was bouncing around a field in 1988 certainly weren't there. Everyone was far too young to have it wasn't that same kind of
thing, and that is where the masking of pain comes, and the keep on going because reality or how you're feeling isn't great, and so you take the other option.
So the best advice, I think, is always be aware of what your reason is for trying to embark on that interaction with something, and be extremely careful, get advice, and do what you're doing wisely in respect of understanding exactly where it's coming from, because that can make an enormous difference.
100%, and it's a conversation that keeps coming up today as well. It's really important, and this at Brighton Music Conference we're all here together, and like Danny was saying and Brandon was saying, coming together and us all talking about our experiences, sharing our experiences, seeing each other again, having a drink with each other again. These are really important things that we can do that is all outside the club as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we are a community, and we always meet up in the clubs and we see each other in those places. But seeing people, seeing our community outside the club, and having conversations in the middle of the day instead of at 2:00 in the morning in the club is a little bit difficult.
Sure.
This is actually a conversation and not a slur.
Well, for you two it's not a slur.
So Colin, before us girls go off nattering all day,
like mother's meeting.
There's already a mother's meeting going on, but I do want to know more about you, because I don't know so much about you, and I want to know what you've been doing, what you've been up to, and more about your the music and how it's a part of your life. And
I can shrink it down into kind of very manageable piece. I've been DJing like Lisa for about in excess of 35 years now. I had a long stint on Kiss FM. I was really into the kind of techno thing, and especially in the 90s, and run a few clubs. I have a record label and stuff like that, so deeply ingrained in the scene. But that's pretty much it in a nutshell, because I know we haven't got a huge amount of time. But
I know
that's
you're
pretty
on a panel
much it.
soon, aren't you?
That's right. Look, Checking my time. I'm
how
on the
long
panel in
how long have we got till your panel?
about 10 minutes.
We've got 10 minutes.
Can I be really nosy then?
Yeah. Go for
So
it.
what's really rocking for you at the moment? Are you still really, playing quite a lot of techno, purist in that sense, or are you? I mean, you've absolutely been there from rare groove, right? Acid house, US house, techno, everything. But what floats your boat at the moment?
At the moment, I'm still playing techno. They actually call it deep tech now, which is a kind of a more groovy, for want of a better word. Melodic is a word that's used a lot.
160
It's got
pace
haze.
about it.
No. I actually play about 128 now,
that.
up to 130, around that kind of range. And it's techno, which I've been finding a lot of house people actually like, because it's kind of house paced. It's got housey elements, but techie sound. So it's kind of an amalgamation of the two things.
Right.
And I actually still, I know I'm known for playing techno, but I'm a big lover of house music as well. So I like to start my sets housey, and then do a progression thing and move into
Take it on a
heavier
journey.
territory. Yeah.
Nice. So what is your favourite track on your USB right now?
Actually, I'm really into the new Floating Points. I think it's called Format.
Right.
Come out a little while ago, which is essentially what I'm saying. It's like a house track with tech sounds on the
Tech
top.
sounds to it. Nice.
But also, Floating Points can be very, very ambient, can it?
Very loud.
We played their albums and stuff at home.
Yeah,
It's just, it's deep,
yeah,
but it's really gorgeous.
yeah.
Yeah,
They're great
musicality,
producers.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, really cool. I shall make a note of that.
So,
Pick it up.
So what piece of advice would you give to anyone trying to make a career in the music business of today?
What advice? You've got to be really passionate about what you do. If you haven't got that passion, just forget it.
Yeah, give up.
And also, realise that there's lots of DJs like football. You've got lots of different divisions, and you've got to work your way through the divisions. Some people never get into even Sunday League. I'm talking about bedroom DJs.
That's right.
So you've got to have your passion, and also realise you can start something small, get all your mates involved, and get them following you, and go from there. You don't have to always be hanging off another promoter or something like that. You can actually start small, do your own thing, get your own following, and start it that way.
That's great advice.
I
Start
think
your own
that's
small
brilliant
party,
advice. Yeah,
Really,
I
really
think that's
good.
brilliant advice. And just keep an eye on your egos.
Yeah, keep it in check.
You'll find that most of us lot, we'll all look out for each other. We've been there for, we're in our 4th decade of doing all of this sort of stuff, and we've been knocked. Trust me, we've all been knocked and fell down and pulled ourselves together and picked ourselves back up again. But we've never done it with an air of ego that we ever felt that we were more important than the last person. And I think that they're quite. I'm not saying that it's a regular train of thought, but I think that there can be a train of thought that people think, DJing, well, that's easy, travelling around the world and all that. You've got to be prepared for the knocks, you've got to be prepared for the highs, you've got to be prepared for the lows, because
it's hard work as well. I know you just see DJs up there, playing. Behind that, there's a lot of hard work, seeking tracks, getting contacts, speaking to promoters. It's a lot of hard work behind the scenes. It's not just getting up there on stage and doing an hour or 2 hour set. There's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
And you're a business.
Exactly.
You're
so self-employed.
You're self-employed. You don't go to work. You don't get paid. You've got a mortgage, or you've got children. You've got to put food on the table.
Exactly.
Whichever way round it is that you have these responsibilities, you have to think about all of that business generation that goes on behind you just turning up and looking fab and playing a few tunes for
spinning a few
people.
tunes, exactly.
Obviously, that's the great bit.
Yeah.
Actually seeing people dig you.
Yeah.
But it doesn't come without a lot of hard work. I think that's also very important.
Exactly. I always used to remember when I first started promoting and was doing a weekly club night for like 1,800 people, and then the regulars would come in and go, So what do you do all week?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
You
yeah.
think this just magically happened, did
Yeah.
you?
Oh, yeah. No, people literally think that you're sitting there, you know, drinking tea like all week long until you turn up for your gig.
Yeah, and just
Trust-
float in.
Trust us, that is not the case. We are not
Definitely
Batman,
not.
you know. We don't put a cape on and then that's that. It's not that easy.
True,
Never
true.
that easy. Okay, so we're going to finish off with some quick fire questions, Colin. Are you ready?
They've got to be very, very
They are
quick. 'cause
really
I'm
quick.
due on in like
2 minutes? We're
Yeah,
going to run you in there.
yeah.
Right, quick fire. House or techno?
techno.
Edam or Stilton?
Edam.
Red or blue pill?
Red.
Love or money?
Love.
Johnny or Amber?
What was that, sorry?
Johnny or Amber?
Amber.
City or countryside?
City.
Cats or dogs?
Cats all the way.
Glastonbury or Burning Man?
Glastonbury.
Ant or Deck?
Oh God, that's like. Do I have
Do you
to
know the
choose one of them? Can I just slide past
Yeah,
that
you can
one?
slow past that. Slow and soft or hard and fast?
Slow and soft.
A small dirty rave or big shiny festival?
Small dirty rave.
Facebook or Twitter?
Facebook.
Obey the rules or fuck the police?
Oh. No, obey the rules.
Okay,
Obey
good.
the rules.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Colin.
very much,
We love
Sacha.
you.
Thanks, Colin.
We love you too. Thank you, Lisa.
And
You,
you can
babe.
run into that.
I'm gonna sprint over there now.
Speed off. Thank you.
Have
We'll
a
be
great
back
panel.
Thank you, everyone.
With Simon Shackleton.
Lovely. That was
you.
fun. No, my pleasure.